Sing for us.
You don't have a panelist. Where's your panelist?
I know.
Hi guys, seriously. No, it's really. So what's going on?
Are you enjoying Florida?
Yeah, we got.
Oh, there he is. He's late.
Hey, actually, I was backstage. Yes, pleasure to meet you. All right. The miscommunication. That's all good.
He's late.
All right. Well, thank
Sorry,
you.
just jumped in.
Oh, that's good. Good. Sounds like they're like, where is she? Oh, he's on stage. Well, welcome to Tampa. Welcome to Tampa Bay Comic-Con. You know, how are you guys doing? Part of a show that I think means a lot to a lot of fans. We have Xena fans in the audience. And really at an important time, right there in the 90s, you were on the show that was ahead of its time in a lot of ways in having very strong female leads, pushing sort of good feminist storylines, right? Passing the Bechdel test before anyone knew what that was.
And who thought that Wonder Woman would take so long to become a feature film, right? At the time, I thought, they were talking about it,
Yeah.
I thought, come on, Aurelia, it's great. It's not that hard.
You broke that mold 20 years ago. That's not that long. Wait.
What's that?
When's the Xena movie coming out?
Oh, Xena movie. She made one, right? Because Wonder Woman was
That's
very popular. So, yeah.
So you kind of got your start on that, though, actually, with a Hercules television movie. You played Daenerys, right?
I did, Daenerys.
Tell me about that. That sounds
so crazy. So I just went in for the audition, and I think I might have told the story a long time ago, but I went in and I remember almost destroying their office because they kept doing a scene and I kept walking backwards, and then I ran into the video machine, and I just, I'm so sorry, are you going to fix it? They're like, no, don't worry about it. And then, and that was Rob Tappert's friend, Eric Rundeman, who was there casting. So they took me all the way to New Zealand, and it was a magical place. I was there for about maybe 3 weeks or so. Met Kevin Sorbo and
Hercules.
What's that?
Hercules.
Hercules. It was so funny. I remember it was sort of the first time I played sort of like a ragamuffin, like a little sort of little girl running around and causing trouble. I had so much fun with that. And Kevin was a sweetheart. He was just so nice. And it was funny because at the time I was there and I had my best friend of my life pass away. This is a crazy story. While I was in New Zealand. And it was so strange. I was like, oh my gosh, here I am. And I can't even go to his funeral. And I can't tell you how loving and warm Kevin Sorbo was. They just all embraced me like a family. And it was the most beautiful experience. So then when Xena came up later, I just had this sort of soft spot in my heart for New Zealand, for the people there, the producers, everyone. And who knew it would become such an integral part of my life.
And it became Middle Earth. It became Middle Earth.
It became Middle Earth. I remember that. I remember we were filming and they said, oh, they're going to be auditioning people for Hobbits and stuff. And then everyone was kind of walking around, getting their ears ready, checking out their feet.
So tell us about Xena and how you got involved in Xena.
So their television movie Hercules was out and it did very well. And they Xena was on his show, and so she did this spin-off, and they loved Lucy. Who does not love Lucy Lawless? And so they were going to make a television show, a television series, and unusual for them. Usually you do a pilot and you see if it's successful, and then you make a television show. Well, they knew they wanted to go straight to series, so that alone was really strange. I didn't know anything about it. I was just acting, but that was very unusual. And they were looking for her best friend to And so they were curious about me, and they brought me in, and it was a long process for me to get into that role. But it worked out beautifully, and then I just sort of moved to New Zealand thinking I'd be there for about 6 months, 9 months or so. So I kept my place in Los Angeles and really just kind of kept my life on hold and went to New Zealand, and it, just...
Well, that's 6 years.
Yeah, my life changed completely.
You changed our lives.
You changed our lives.
It's an incredible team of people. Like anything that's so iconic in its way, there's just so much energy that was poured into these characters and the writing. Well, it was ahead of its time.
Well, speaking of Gabrielle, incredible arc. The series was really changed, more so than most characters do in a series like that. Going from the sort of little village girl to a warrior like Xena herself at the very end, almost taking over her world. And kind of in the end.
What? I don't know that they had all this planned out. It was just, the show. They definitely wanted Gabrielle to be the young girl who comes and is beholden to Xena and wants to be like Xena. So it was nice by the end of it all that she sort of had the opportunity to come full circle. For me, I was past my adolescence, so having to go back into what a teenager felt like was a little bizarre, falling in love and pimples and all these great things.
Well, speaking of that, let's talk about one of the things I think about the show that is going to be important for us here, and just for people that study popular culture and that kind of things, right? It's looking at the relationship between Gabrielle and Xena. Right? And today we live in a world where LGBTQ community is well represented in popular culture, but in the 1990s, it really wasn't, in the early 1990s, it wasn't like it was today. And Xena was cutting edge at that time, even though they were never really explicit about it. In fact, they were intentionally ambiguous, I think, about the nature of that relationship. But that was an important thing. It was very important to a lot of people. So I wonder how much were you aware of that as the show went on? How much were the writers aware? Because it almost seemed like that relationship, it wasn't really planned that way, it just kind of developed organically. And then was there feedback between the fans and the writers? How did that work from your perspective?
Yeah, well, yes to all the above. But it did happen organically. Lucy and I just had no idea that our chemistry and our true admiration for each other just sort of came off, and was really obvious. And then there was just a deep love that was evident between the characters. And so, yes, we had to be more ambiguous because at the time, we were pushing every envelope, getting into a hot tub together, coming out of a hot tub together. I remember what we filmed and then watching some of the episodes back, and they said in Canada, there's this black blob around Gabrielle's butt as she's walking across the stage. And I was just like, really? Or she got out of the hot tub and there's this little black spot. Okay, but so they were definitely pushing every envelope possible. And with the relationship, obviously we wanted to go as far as we could, but at the same time we didn't want to be pulled off the air, and there's that, as you can see even now, it's like you just have to keep pushing the envelope and you just get tired. Don't you get tired of all the junk out there that's just coming back from the backlash? But anyway, so imagine back then what it was like to try to put something on television. We really had to sort of be aware of how far we could go and how far the writers could push it, and yet really put the love in there at the same time. Because it was clear that we had a lot of fun and just a lot of love for each other.
You did have such a good chemistry. I assume that's real with you.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's really an amazing woman. Yeah.
That chemistry. Literally, the characters were literally swords.
Yeah.
In the story. Do you see her much?
I try to. Usually, I'll see her about once a year.
Yeah.
I don't think I saw her last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had a great run with Spartacus.
Why aren't you on that yet?
Well, I honestly just haven't been down to New Zealand in a long time. But I've been working on a movie, I've been producing a film, and doing more theater, so just doing things that are sort of filling up my soul. And of course I'd love to get to New Zealand, but if I go, I'd have to stay for a little while. But Bob just said, you know, I don't know.
Let's talk about some of your projects that you're working on.
Yeah, so one thing, you know, I have 2 children, and my son's 15, my daughter's 11, and we're just really frustrated that there isn't a lot of material out there that we can watch with them, you know, whether they're films or television shows, and so we're constantly going back to the 80s movies, which I love. And we thought, well, why don't we make something? Because, you know, I like to do more than act. I love acting, but I also like to direct, I like to now produce. And so, at the same time, there was a young man who wrote a short story and wanted to make a short film. And he kind of just fell in love with Miles, my son Miles, who is, to my great admiration as well, a geek. I love it, you know? Like, he's just like us. We just love like gadgets and what they call STEAM, which is engineering and math and, you know, everything. That's really arts, all these things were important to us in our family. And so he sort of fit the role of this young boy in this short film. And I said, well, if you want to make it into a feature, then I would like to produce a feature and I'll do it. Who knew he would come back a month later and have a script for a feature film? But that doesn't happen, right? So I said, oh no, here we go. And so, sure enough, I thought, okay, this is it. So we decided to make a family film, and my son is in it. And it's about these 2 boys who are launching a weather balloon with a drone, and they send it up to space, and they discover there are inhabitants up there waiting to come down. And so it's a little sci-fi family film, but it feels like Stand By Me, and it has a little bit of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So it's really about these boys and how to deal with their family and grief, you know? So it's sweet. It's my first one. And I just wanted to produce it. I didn't want to direct it because I knew producing alone is a huge job. And I was right, I was completely wrong.
What's that?
It's called Watch the Sky. But it's, yeah, bringing it back to Comic-Con is that it's based on a novel that the writer created. So it's a comic. Yeah.
So there's been some talk over the last year or so of possible Xeno reboot. So presumably if they're doing a reboot, they'll go with new actors for those roles, but, you know...
Only if you're in it, Renne.
Yeah,
yes. Only if you're in it.
That would be great. I mean, you know, look at Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is an incredible character. If they can create something similar with Xeno, where there's a character that goes in your head.
James in Hollywood to do that.
Years and years from now, we all look back and someone else is playing Xena and Gabrielle. I mean, we still think, oh, you guys are tough.
I wouldn't even go see it.
Oh,
Cameos.
You don't think you want to revisit it?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. No, I mean, I see I'm doing something, but I don't know what that would be. Obviously, it's not going to be Xena or Hercules, But no, I don't know. It'll be something in our future. I have no doubt. I mean, I'd love to work with Lucy again, but it's been, I don't think it's going to be Xena and Gabrielle. Sorry,
Well, then I'll
guys.
keep watching.
Come on.
Every day.
New and excitement.
I'll keep watching it every day then. I have
Yeah.
to
Oh, I know, I love it. So I have a crazy family, and we had a family vacation, and so we made the movie Monty Python, because that's what you do when you're with your family. And so I was trying to describe to my daughter, I said, you know, there's a scene in Xeno where there's this rabbit, and this rabbit throwing it around and trying, and she said, really? She does not like violence at all. So she won't watch anything where I'm being hit or anything else. So Zena's a little tricky, right? And so she told me, I said, well, maybe you should watch the show because there are many other elements to it besides just fighting. And so she was really intrigued after she heard about the Monty Python rabbit.
It's a tough rabbit.
Why don't we take it out to the audience for questions? I know you guys have lots of questions. Hang on, let's go. We have microphones back here. So if everyone want to line up at the mics, we have 3 of them. So if you have questions, just go to the mics. Go ahead.
Are you nervous?
Yes, thank you. It's just for you.
Thank you. You look great.
Thank you. A lot of friends put effort into helping make it. I just have a so Gabrielle's put into a lot of different situations. Do you have a favorite and why?
You know, it changes through the years. So the back right now, I really love the musicals. And then, you know, I think they're so well done for television, and they were hilarious. I mean, what we tried to pull off was outrageous. Like the cards, what were we thinking? You know? And then Callisto is spinning the wheel. What? Where did that come from? So that's probably my favorite right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's great.
Hello, Renee.
Hi.
Hi. I was wondering, how was it?
Wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah.
How was it working with Kevin Smith, the gentleman who portrayed Ares on Xena?
Yeah.
That's a very hard act to follow.
He's amazing. Yeah, he's irreplaceable. My goodness. He's the most beautiful person inside and out. I mean, if you know, he actually has so much. He has such a great sense of humor, and you wouldn't really see that in him because like Aries, you know, and he's like formidable. But he was hilarious. He was probably one of the biggest clowns around because it was just personable, and he kind of had to be a goof, you know. But then we were all goofy, really. Lucy and I and Ted and Kevin. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we miss him. He's amazing. That's all I can say. He's like, yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, I thought you had great chemistry with James Garner in your Rockford Files movie.
Thank you. Another guy, I know. That's right.
I was going to ask you what your memories or anecdotes were of working on that film.
That was one of those strange opportunities that I'll never forget. Working and driving, he was driving the car, you know, and being in there and having the deja vu. I know I've seen this, you know, before. So I used to watch his shows a long time ago. They would replay it, but he was the most kindest man. You know, I've been so fortunate that I've been working with these people who have been very professional and some legends in their industry, and he was one of them, and he was just a class act. I mean, I was really kind of naive and green, you know, with how things worked, but I've always been a hard worker, so I was really prepared, and he sort of took me under his wing and made sure that everything was comfortable because we had so many scenes together. And he just had a very endearing quality, but, and again, another sense of humor though, because we had some unusual activities. Did I tell you guys about the car accident?
No.
So we're driving, this is terrible, but we're driving downtown Los Angeles, and we had these lights on our car, and sometimes they sort of obscure the view. And so we're driving, and next thing we know, there's a guy who rolls up on our hood and rolls off, and I go, "Are there children here?" I said, "Oh." And he just jumped out of the car, and he went and he started, he didn't have to do CPR, but you know, he was just making sure he's conscious and okay. And I swear, it took me 30 seconds, which is a long time after something like that, to realize what had just happened. James Garner is trying to help this man, and so we went and I joined them, and it turns out the guy, unfortunately, was all right, but it was the most shocking experience because we were supposed to be guided with police escorts, and then this one man didn't see the police escort, didn't see our car, and ran out between us. So it was fortunately everything was okay, but it was the most shocking experience. Like I'm really in a TV show with James Garner, and here he's jumping out there.
That's why James Garner was out there.
He was out there, he jumped right in. And I was just
How old were you? How old
and
were
he
you?
was old. Sorry.
How old were you when you did that?
I was young, but he was older. He just did not run very quickly. You're running to this corner, and then the other guy, his best buddy was going to take it from there. But I mean, after this happened, this little accident, he was out of that car, just jumped up and ran out. And I was, I don't know, like 20s or so? I don't know. It was a lot. Yeah, it was fun.
He's a legend.
He is a legend still.
Thank you.
Hi, Renee. You recently completed the Question of Faith and
Yes.
Beyond the Farthest Star. Do you have any idea on a release date for either of those movies on DVD or?
I don't know what is going on with Beyond the Farthest Star. That film actually is my favorite faith-based film ever, and the reason is because they came at the story with looking at the flaws in the characters. You know, I mean, we were all kind of just had so much inner conflict that they wanted to bring out the humanness around, of course, this faith-based genre, but I loved it because it was a little edgier. It wasn't preaching to me too much, you know, but at the same time, it had a beautiful message. So I love this film, and I'm such a strong advocate for people to see it. I don't know why it's not distributed yet. I know that it just hasn't, they haven't been quite pleased with the opportunities that it's had, but it's also been screening in different religious circumstances. But don't be thrown by being faith-based, because this film is so beautifully made, and I don't say that very often, but this one was shot well, it was written well, the performances are great, and that's Beyond the Farthest Star. So hopefully we'll get to see it. And then A Question of Faith, they're going to have a theatrical release September 29th, I believe, and that's an ensemble piece. It's very similar to the movie Crash, except it's around these 3 different families, and also their different beliefs, and it brings up discrimination and how people jump to certain judgments around each other based on how they look. And I loved that. I like that a lot. So that was good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman in the center.
Yes. Hello.
Hi, Renee. Well, I was going to ask you about Kevin Smith, but somebody already kind of did that, so I'm just going to make up something now. So, on the Xena show, they touched on a lot of legendary stories. Is there any legendary story that you guys wanted to do or didn't get to do that you may have wanted to do in the future that didn't get to do it though? You know, like we did Cleopatra and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think we were going to go down the line of the Romans and all the different leaders, but we never had the time to do that. You know,
Gotcha.
looking after Julius Caesar, and you know, there were many other characters in there that we could have been playing with. But I think we just jumped ahead a little too far. We had Eli, you know.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. I
Okay.
don't think he come back. But he did great.
Thank
Did you
you.
make that?
Yes.
Nice.
It's my Wonder Woman belly dance. We were performing
Oh,
here
really?
earlier. Yeah, we have a cosplay group and we were performing here. But I'm actually have a Xena costume that I'll be changing into later for our photo album. Thank you.
Hi, Renee. Well, I just started watching the show last year, so I'm not finished yet, but that's a different story. But my favorite character that you play has to be the Debbie, like, of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Just don't listen to her. Okay. So my question is to you, I was about to ask, how much fun was it? How much fun was it, and how hard was it for you to sell that role as far as like being possessed? Because it was one scene you were normal, and then she called you by your name, and you was like,
And you licked her face. That was awesome.
I know. What in the world? Yeah, actually that was the last, because nobody was expecting that. But there was just something, I think it reminded me of it's just this extremely vain sort of person, you know, because she had all the decorations and she was just so, I don't know, it was all about her and the idols and being an idol. And so I just started with that, and it was so beautiful. Oh my gosh, the costumes. But then afterwards, I don't know. I think I just probably enjoyed it a little too much. The tongue thing, I don't know what that was, but it was a blast. That's all I can say.
It was a great episode. I watched it like 1,000 times. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi. I got to ask Ted this back in February at another convention, but what is your favorite episode personally that you worked on?
Well, that was an interesting one. I forgot about that one. I loved that we were in India. There was just this beautiful opportunity to feel like we were in a different place, even though we were just out on the farm in New Zealand. But with the sets and the costumes and saris, and when we went through India, that was a beautiful time. So I feel like I have a little more tiny bit of understanding of culture. Not much. I've never been to India, but I just feel like I was exposed to it enough that I'm intrigued, and I'd love to get there someday. But it's just beautiful. I love that whole idea of it. And it was the way of the peaceful warrior. Was something that I was. I sort of revisited that later in my older years. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Renne.
Hi.
How did it feel being an Amazonian princess, and did it give you any other outlook towards the ones in Wonder Woman? And had you wish you had been part of it?
So we said it about Wonder Woman again?
One of the Amazons.
Oh, to be a
Do you wish you could have been part of it? Yeah.
Wonder Woman? I grew up watching Wonder Woman. I mean, I grew up honestly dressed in a costume. And my first Halloween costume was Wonder Woman, right? Seriously, yeah. So I loved her. But Amazon, it was a little different. I don't know that I really believed it. I think, what am I doing as an Amazon princess or an Amazon queen? This is a little far-fetched. But you gotta roll with it. And it was kind of amazing, actually. Again, that if you remember, which you would, is that there's the costumes in the atmosphere, and then the drums and the dancing, and there's just a part of the show that really sort of brings you into the story. And it was really easy to be a part of it because it was exciting. And I was excited being a part of this. I was later watching the episode, I miss it for sure. But it's, I don't think I'd ever want to replace being an Amazon princess.
Which is being a regular one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The drumbeats.
Hi, Renne. Just a quick question. I was wondering how you felt the last episode of Xena.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah, I think I'm still one of the few people that say that I thought it was a great ending, but I've never been one to shy away from stories that are a little hard to watch, that's what I love about being a filmmaker is, you're able to tell the story you need to tell. And ultimately, as much as I love Xena and everything about it, I don't want to see people be disappointed. It was her ending, and it was about her and her redemption. And she found it. So, even though it sucks, however, it was a full circle story, and I thought that was beautifully told.
Thank you.
I know it's hard.
It was.
It's really hard to do, too.
I don't think it should be underestimated just how uncommon that was at the time. We sort of take it for granted today because we used to have these series that are designed in mind, but in the 1990s we didn't do that. They tried to go on and to be able to have a real closure to the show for the story like that was an unusual thing.
It was so great.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to kill off their protagonist. We still do that. However, again, I just bring it back to Rob Tapert, and he was such a visionary. We would not have Xena if it weren't for Rob Tapert, seriously, being who he is as a person. He's a genius. I just can't tell you how much he would study the cultures, the art, the stories, and he would bring that into the life of our show. And so for him to just kind of put it all out there was a huge risk. And yeah, it's sad. It was terrible to film, let me tell you. My heart was just crying all the time, but you know, it was scary. There's just that quality of, oh my gosh, we're really doing this, and she's really, that's a terrible image to see, but it was,
Hi, Renee. So Gabrielle and Zena both had a few doppelgangers. What was it like to play those roles, and which one was your favorite?
Honestly, Hope.
Oh, yeah. That was your only one. That was your only one.
Yeah, that's my only one, yeah. What's that? Oh, the three Gabbies. That's pretty funny too. But you know, Hope was fun because I didn't know how to do anything like this, you know, and I just know I'm Gabrielle, and I've only worked with Gabrielle for so many years, so it was really strange to kind of come up with something that was the antithesis of who she is as a person. I don't know that I did a great job, but I was just trying to find elements that sort of would ring true to her wanting to have a mother, you know, wanting to be Gabrielle, and then also pretending to be Gabrielle, and that would be like for someone who just really can't stand her mother. I mean, there's so many elements to it that I wanted to try to bring out, but at the same time, it was hard, especially when you have about a week or two to really kind of pull it together, because they give you the script just before, and then you have to figure it out, and then you go into production. So, you know, that's the sort of character I think is really dynamic and interesting to play. I don't know that I did a great job at it, but
I think you did.
It was fun.
Yeah. Go home.
The owner's blue day, that's what I call it.
Hi. So who played the most pranks on set, and which one was your favorite?
I guess it's me. Everybody wants to play pranks. I didn't do that many. I was pretty low-key. But, what did I do? I don't know. Cinnamon. What's that?
We had a panel where we talked about the cinnamon on
Chair.
Lucy's seat.
Cinnamon?
The breadcrumbs on Lucy's seat.
Oh, yeah. The grease on her trailer.
Oh, it's so ridiculous.
You told us about it.
Try to put the grease on the handle. You know, just honestly, at this point, you know, I'm sure I could have found better things to do, but like tie up her boots or something, you know. Yeah, she was a little bit, you know. There really wasn't a lot of time to hold pranks on each other. We were going so quickly. I mean, that's what's unusual about our show, is that we would film all day, and then you would have some sound work at night or a read-through, and then you'd go into the next episode. So we were constantly just trying to serve the story, and sometimes if you play pranks or stuff like that, then you might kind of ruin the day. But no, I'm too well behaved, I'm sorry. What's that? Yeah, kind of boring, right? I love pranks though. Don't tell Lucy.
Too late.
Hi, Renee. Oh, wow. So excited to meet you after all these years. Oh, man. So I loved the show when it first, started airing, and, I think we all practiced our war cry a million times, driving our parents crazy and stuff. So as a kid, I obviously idolized Xena and was trying to do flips and stuff, but watching it as an adult, I related more to Gabrielle's character because the character progression is incredible. You see her go from A to Z, and you did an amazing job. That being said, is there anything that you viewed maybe younger and then watched it again and had a similar experience where you had a different perspective on it and had more maybe of an appreciation?
Yeah, I haven't watched it through the entire process, from the beginning to the very end, actually, at all. I watched every episode, and I've watched a few, as I said, with my son and a little bit with my daughter, or with Lucy, but I haven't watched the whole thing. I just sat there, so I have to do that actually to see what would I take away from it all. But after all these years, I most appreciate how dynamic Rob, as I said, was in the process of pulling this together, because he was so brave. I cannot say how brave he was. It was so unusual. And then Lucy, I mean, she is such a formidable person. You can see it in the way that she's an advocate for our environment. I mean, that's who she is. So my respect for her just deepens. you know, I had it initially when I first met her, but it's much more, just deeper, that's all I can say, you know. And she is like a sister to me, a soul sister. But yeah, looking back on the show, wow, I don't know, it's pretty crazy. And all the comedies and the stories, I don't know, I'd have to look back.
Or in anything, not necessarily Xena, but anything, like from when you were a child or something, that you, maybe like Wonder Woman, for instance, like where you're like, oh, whoa, like, you know, did the perspective change at all?
You know, for me, horror films. I mean, I used to love horror films. I used to watch them. It would be sort of like the slasher kinds, but the things that were suspenseful. I loved good storytelling. I loved sort of being pulled into something and being a little on the edge of my seat where, you know, where I was thrilled, which is probably why I was a good match for Xena, because there was always something thrilling every day, you know, whether you're driving a chariot or being hung from a rope ladder or something, you know. And, but now, I wish there was better storytelling out there in that genre. I think a lot of it is just sort of put out for slasher, for shock value. I think there's a lot of shock value out there in television, actually. And yeah, I'm older, but at the same time, I love stories, which is quite why I was great Gabrielle, but I love a storyteller and what they can do. And I think that when you just sort of throw it out there and you're not thoughtful about it, then it's kind of a shame, you know? So,
thank you so much.
Yes, keep writing. I know a lot of you are writers, so keep writing.
Hi. So one of my favorite episodes is Between the Lines, and I was just wondering if you found it difficult or strange working with another actor who was supposed to be portraying your character. Okay, so they're in India, and then they're kind of put into the future because of Alti, and you have a male character that's supposed to be kind of acting like you, but still, you know, kind of.
Your reincarnation.
Yeah, thank you.
Was that
Like a body swap.
Oh, yeah. Who was that? You guys can help me out.
You were like, where's the reincarnation?
Oh, the Indiana Jones character. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's the India dude. It's like Xena was a piece, mother piece, and you were her protector.
Oh. Your reincarnation, like in a future life.
Yeah, you were a dude. That was protected. You were a dude.
Don't worry about this.
Between the Lines, was it?
Yeah, that was in Between the Lines.
It's funny because in my mind, Between the Lines was something completely different. So I have to go and look back on what the episode was. It's not what I remember it to be. I thought it had Kevin Smith in it, Between the Lines. No.
So where you got your hair cut?
That's right.
Yeah, so when you got your hair cut in?
I wore that wig.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Whatever the picture.
You wore a wig. Yeah, you were a guy.
I was, yeah. That was an odd. To me, that was one where we just we were transitioning from one theme to the next. And I don't know that was one of my favorites, obviously, because I don't remember this as much as I remember other ones. So your question, though, coming back to your question. What was your question?
Was it weird kind of working with another actor, watching someone else trying to kind of portray Gabrielle?
I don't know that I put much thought into it, actually. Yeah. I probably would now. I'd be much more curious now watching someone like Gabrielle, you know, because that would be interesting, and I would be supportive of it and excited, but I'd love to see who this person is and her take on the character. So right now, I'd be much more intrigued as opposed to at the time. I probably was just watching and more probably more concerned about how they die.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a long way back to experiences.
Angel? Can someone help her with the mic? There you go. She's got it.
What was your favorite thing to do in theater?
Oh, are you a theater person too? Do you love theater? Nice. How old are you?
I'm almost 9.
You're almost 9? What's your favorite part of the theater? Like acting?
I probably love performing.
Performing? Why do you like performing?
Because I don't really know.
Is it fun to play other characters? Or do you like to share your voice? Or both? I like both those. Yeah, for sure. I love to explore other characters, people that I can't imagine ever experiencing what they've experienced and trying to put myself in their shoes. Just having empathy. Empathy is a big one as an actor. Trying to really feel what they would feel. The costumes are great, right? What about your voice? Do you love to sing or do you?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? What do you love to sing?
Wait, what?
What's your favorite song? Sorry.
I like making up songs.
Wow. Like?
A lot of things.
Like a rap or like a melody?
No,
or?
like a melody.
Oh, like what? Like what's your favorite song?
Sing words. I don't really know.
Yeah. Do you like musicals? Or do you like music off the radio?
Music off the radio.
Nice. Who's your favorite artist?
I really don't have one.
Yeah, I don't either. So. Actually, I love the girls, I have to say. They have great melodies and harmonies. Yeah. So, yeah, I love the theater too. I mean, I grew up trying to be in the theater all the time. Whether it was a theater that was just traveling around, or right now I'm doing theater all the time. I think it's just an opportunity to keep exploring, being connected to more people, So it's good that you have parents that are supportive, right?
Hi, good morning. Hi, I wanted to ask real quick, because you were talking earlier about the finale of the show, and how it was kind of bringing an end cap to Zena's journey and redemption and all that. But I wanted to ask, say you were going to start it up again 16 years later, since the end of the show, where would you see Gabrielle as a character with that time development? Like if she had that time, where do you think she would be in life?
What?
Answer that. If you look back on the show, I probably would try to have Gabrielle looking for Zena in some way, whether it's some other spiritual realm. But I think it's about Zena and Gabrielle always, and I always did, even when the show was over. I couldn't imagine Gabrielle without Zena. It doesn't work.
Like the character development, all that, it's in, because like Amanda said, it's A to Z, like complete turnaround. Some people say it's it's a story about Zena's redemption. I think it's more Gabrielle's development as a person. You know what I mean? Like it kind of goes both ways. But.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand and appreciate that, because I lived it, I'm trying to figure out who she is and where she's going, and then how I resonated with her turning her life. But I just, again, the love is pure love. Zena and Gabrielle is pure love, so I think that she would always be looking for a way to be connected to Zena. And obviously, if she's not in person, then it has to be their spiritual realm. There would have to be something like that. If I were to ever look at my perspective of the characters in their relationship, I would have her looking for Zena, for sure.
Great answer.
Right?
Yay!
Thank you so much.
Famous playwright.
What's that?
It's a famous playwright.
Make it a famous
playwright. Barda Dia.
Yeah.
Playwright.
I just don't know, yeah. I mean, it's funny, someone's doing something with the show, I'm sure, the characters. I don't know what it is right now. I mean, but hopefully the characters can come back out there. I mean, I want to see them as well, that love again.
Yeah.
Hi, Renee. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for coming to Tampa's Comic-Con.
Thank you.
Because you're here, my family came from the other side of the country to be here today, and they're here in the audience. I'm not going to point them out because I don't want to embarrass them, but I wanted to let you know that we're enthusiastic and passionate about what you bring in your role as Gabrielle, as well as a writer, director, producer, the many, many talents that you have. You've been an inspiration to not only us as adults and watching you when we were younger, but also to our kids who watch you now and just love you to death.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So my question is, as a child of theater, as a person in theater, I know that you were part of a family in Xena, and the cast parties and the after parties of your set, you know, whether you're celebrating a hard week or a hard season, these are the intimate times of a cast family. Can you share with us one of your favorite stories from your cast family times when you're off set?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we had so many. I mean, honestly, we worked all the time, and I'm not exaggerating. So we created our family there. You know, it was all the family. It doesn't matter what your role was, whether you were acting, creating costumes, lighting. We were all a family and respected each other immensely. So that was an incredible opportunity. And then occasionally when we would have some time off, we would, I don't remember we celebrated Thanksgiving over there. Did I ever tell you guys about that?
No.
Okay. So I was obviously one of the few Americans, and the other two were a couple. It was Eric Renne and his wife, Patricia Manning. And they lived there since the beginning of Hercules, the television movie. So they were really ingrained in bringing America to New Zealand. And they would always hold a dinner for Thanksgiving for anyone that was available to come. So they invited the cast. Some of the American guests who came over as well, the American directors, and then some of the New Zealand family members that were more prominent in their life. And then they would stand up and they would talk about the beauty of Thanksgiving and why we would have it, and it's about fellowship. And it was wonderful. And so it's great to be American overseas and then be able to share a bit of our culture with people from other countries, whether they're from New Zealand or Australia, or even England, depending on who was in our circle and working at the time on our show. And so that was beautiful. And then that's what I remember the most. We had a couple other occasions.
Thank you. Through your art, you're able to be a global citizen representing our United States of America.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Boy, I learned so much living overseas. It's amazing. I won't get into politics, but just being aware, even at the time of Xena, how sheltered we were as a country to global news, and how the media slants the news in America to be only about America. And I don't know that it's as prevalent now because I'm in America, so I can't tell the difference. But when you live overseas for such a long time, it's really much more obvious. It's really interesting.
Well, I'm afraid.
Oh, sorry.
That was great. This was wonderful. Thank you all so much. So we can,
I'm a huge fan.
Let's give a big round of applause for